Last year, I played a 40-minute opening set right here at the legendary Roxy in downtown Vancouver. In today's video, I'm gonna tell you exactly how much I made at that gig. And spoiler alert, when I factor in prep, setup, and travel time, it equals less than minimum wage. But I learned a very valuable lesson that every musician who's trying to make money should know about. So let's go. All right, quick backstory. Now, before the show, I was actually retired from playing in bands and playing from shows for about 11 years. And I can go into a whole video on why I retired, but basically, from the time I was 13 to about 28, I had given everything that I had into becoming a professional paid musician. And at that point, my band had put out a record. We spent some money on it. We shopped it out to all the record labels, and everybody from the majors to the independents said no or didn't even get back to us. So I was literally burnt out. And more importantly, I was tired of making no money, which is why I'm making this video. So about 9 years ago, I met my now friend and tattoo artist, Mayo. Shout out Mayo from Birthmark Tattoos. He did my left Filipino Polynesian sleeve. And when you spend hours upon hours of time getting tattooed by somebody, you get to know them really well. So Mayo is an accomplished musician in his own right. He's a great singer and a guitar player. And he and I share the love of Chris Cornell. And whenever I would sit and get it tattooed, and I'm talking 6-7 hours sitting down, we'd listen to a lot of Audioslave and Soundgarden. Now, as we all know, tragically, Chris Cornell died in 2017, and Mayo always wanted to do a tribute show after he passed away. He wanted to put together an ensemble band, just friends. And play a tribute to Chris Cornell playing Soundgarden and Audioslave songs. Now, he asked me a few times, but I always said no because I just had no desire to play live at that point. Then at the beginning of 2020, he asked me again and he finally convinced me and I said yes. But we all know what happened afterwards. COVID hit and everything basically shut down for almost 2 years. Now, during COVID, I finally decided that I was going to start posting guitar content, which is something I had wanted to do for a long time. I started with an Instagram page and then later on this YouTube channel. And the idea of playing live and doing this Chris Cornell tribute show was way out of my head at this point. Then early last year, Mayo sent me a message saying that he had been in contact with a local promoter and said that he booked the Roxy for the Chris Cornell tribute show, and he asked me to play, and of course I said yes. And so as I said earlier, I hadn't played a show in 12 years, and I said yes for a couple reasons. Namely, one, I wanted to see if the old man still had it, and two, I wanted to see what I was made of. I wanted to see if I could challenge myself to learn these Audioslave and Soundgarden songs, do them justice, do them the way I would play them, but do them justice where I'm paying tribute to Soundgarden and Audioslave and obviously Chris Cornell. right, you waited long enough. I'm gonna tell you exactly how much I made at that show. Oh, before I do, I'm just gonna make one thing perfectly clear. I did not expect to get paid at the show. I thought I was doing this for free. Mayo just asked me and I thought it was more like a favor and more like a personal thing. So I did not expect to actually get paid for this show. All right, the moment you've been waiting for. How much did I make to play a 40-minute opening set at the Roxy last year? I got handed $50 at the end of the set. Yes, $50. Now, if you are good at math, you probably did some quick calculations and you thought, AJ, 40 minutes and you made $50, that's like $75 an hour. That's a fantastic wage. And I agree with you 100%. $75 an hour would be a fantastic wage if I only worked for the 40 minutes. But right now, and super fitting that we are at the Vancouver Public Library, we are gonna do some math and I'm gonna break down exactly how much I made on an hourly wage if I factor in my time prepping for the show and all my other expenses. I got my phone here because I don't know any of these numbers. All right, like I said, the show itself was 45 minutes, call it 0.75 hours. Now, we weren't a real band, we're not a regular band, we were an ensemble, and everybody was busy and had different schedules, so we only had one rehearsal, which was the night before, and that was 2 hours, so add 2 hours to this. Now, for this set, I had to learn 10 songs. I have a photo of it, I'll post it right here. Now, lucky for me, most of these songs I learned already when I was a kid, so I just had to basically review them. I knew there was another guitar player playing in the band, so I wasn't sure who was playing what, so I actually learned the lead lines for all these songs. Now, I take a lot of pride in being a pro, so that means when I show up to a rehearsal or an audition, I know every single part and I have my gear dialed in. There was 10 songs to learn and I put an hour of practice per song the week prior to the show. For those of you wondering how I broke it down, is the first 30 minutes I would go on YouTube, Songster, or any of these sites, and I would just make sure I'm playing the correct notes. Then the second 30 minutes, I would practice standing up and using my pedals and my effects and my pedal board. It's one thing to play sitting down, it's another whole different experience and a whole different thing playing standing up and actually performing. And again, I want to be pro. I take pride in my performance. I want to be pro. I don't want to be a guitar player who just sits there looking down and strumming chords. I want to put on a show. And for that, I needed 30 minutes to practice the songs, playing it correctly, and also dialing in my tone, doing my pedal board dancing, and just performing the song. So add 10 hours to the list. Now I wanna add in commute time. It was a 45-minute commute to Mayo's tattoo studio where we also rehearsed, and 45 minutes back home. And it was also 45 minutes from my house to the Roxy, so add another 3 hours. So to recap, we have the 45-minute set, we have a 2-hour rehearsal, commute to and from rehearsal, 1.5 hours, practice at home, 10 hours, commute to and from the venue, 1.5 hours, a total of 15.75 hours. Now I want to talk about other expenses. Parking downtown Vancouver is not cheap. It was $14 for the night. And before the show, the band went out to go eat, which I think is super important because you're bonding with the band. Like I said, we didn't spend too much time together, just a 2-hour rehearsal the night before. And this time eating was super important because we get to talk about the set, we got to talk about whatever else, and we just get to know each other. So I think that's super important. So $14 for parking, $15 for food, that's another $29. Total math, I got paid $50, total expenses $29, net earnings is $21. So if we break this down, before all my expenses, my gross hourly rate was $3.17 an hour. That's just for my time. Now factor in my expenses, I actually netted $1.33 an hour. Now just for a quick reference, the minimum wage here in BC is $17 an hour. So that's not even anywhere near minimum wage. Tell you the truth, these numbers aren't that far off from when I last played 11, 12 years ago. In fact, they're pretty much the same numbers. So being a musician is so hard, but I did learn a very important lesson and I want to share it with you guys. Quick note, this is not a poor me video. I made only $1 on a show. I knew exactly what I was getting into. In fact, I thought I was doing the show for free. I just wanted to highlight to you guys the realities of being a local musician.
Hold on, there's a second side to everything. It's holding on, the right thing to do. Yeah, hold on, there's a second side to everything. You know, I know, it takes two. I never knew anything. Same with you.
So the question is, what can you do about this? If you are not a musician, but you just love live music, then go to your local venues and support these local bands. If they have a tip jar or a tip hat, give them a tip, I guess. But as a musician, I'm not a big fan of that because I just feel like I'm not giving you value if I'm just playing there and you just give me a tip. It's just so arbitrary. If these local musicians are somewhat business savvy, then they would have merch at these shows. Go buy their merch. That's where they make the most amount of money, because as we all know, these venues are gonna pay them fucking peanuts. And if you can't afford to buy their merch, if they have any social media following, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, if they're smart, go follow those accounts of theirs. That goes a long way in supporting these artists. Now, my friends, if you are an artist, what I learned about this show that I wish I knew when I was playing 12, 15 years ago was that I should have been more savvy with social media and making content. And at the show or after the show, people asked if I was on Instagram, and I was super stoked and super proud when I showed them my Instagram page and how pro it was. And it just made me look that much more professional. So if you are an old school musician like I was, where I didn't like social media and you don't have a music page, please start one, because it's the new business card. You need it. And the most important lesson I want to leave you, my fellow musicians, is start a YouTube channel. Give people value, show them your experiences, show them what you've learned, so that way they can learn from what you've learned. And that's exactly what I do on this channel. I'm not special. I didn't get a record deal. In fact, every major label passed on my band. But what I can give you guys on this channel is the little knowledge I have of guitar gear and how to make it sound good for cheap, and my experience of being a journeyman musician. And I want to show you guys this thing real quick. That is how much YouTube paid me this month to talk about guitars. That's literally 10x what I made at that last show. So if I can do it, you can too. Having said all of that, if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you so much. I haven't asked in a long time, but if you could please consider liking and subscribing, that would go a long way in helping me grow and helping me make more videos like this one. Also, watch this next video. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.